So yeah, today we'll be like trying to build out a simple React.js application. So what we'll be doing is we will be learning about like how to create a React project, how we can how we can create a component, how we can make use of a state and props. What are those? What are class components? What are functional components? And like how you can make use of event listeners in your React project. These are like pretty much basic topics which you should know while creating an application in a React. So first of all, I believe like you might have already set up your work environment, like installing Node and npm, all those things. So we'll start by creating just a simple React app first. So what I'll be using is I'm using npx. So if you go to create React app installation, you will see like it says in a quick start, use npx create React app space my app, right? So does anybody have any idea what is npx? Cool, I think so. You might know about npm. Can anyone tell like what is an npm, what it does? Just a small overview.
And npm is like where people create different libraries and packages, and it's like people store them so we can install it in our app and use it.
Yeah,
It's
correct.
like a
Yeah.
package manager.
Yeah, so it's kind of a node package manager. It is npm is basically an online repository of all the open source libraries we have, which we can use in our node project. So JavaScript projects, all the libraries and everything is available on open source that we can install on our system using npm node package manager. It comes along with when you install node, npm will be installed automatically. What npx is? Npx is node package runner. So as name suggests, it is mostly used to run node packages. So suppose you don't want to install any package on, so if you want to use any package, what do? You will first install it on your system using npm install the package name, and then you will make use of it in your project. But what npx allows is, it allows us like we don't need to install it on our system globally. What we can do is we can run all the npm packages using npx command, and what it will do is it will just run that package and do whatever that package needs to do without installing it to our system. So if I have to I run create React app using npx, I don't need create React app installed on my system. I can directly, if I have node installed and npm, I can directly use npx create React app command, and I can pass in my app name, and it will create the project similar to how it should have done if I have installed create React app on my system and then used it. So this prevents like cluttering of many packages on your system. You don't have to worry about managing all those on your system. So yeah, it will set it print in a bit. Let's wait for it. If you have any question on regarding npx, you can ask until it installs and create the project. Cool. So it has installed the project. I can directly start the my project. I'll open it up in my VS Code. Open. Cool. And it says use yarn start to start the project. So what is yarn? Yarn is also a new term over here. Yarn is also similar to npm. It is also used to install packages on our system. But the benefit it provides to us is like it create a cache of the package. So if you are installing one package again, it won't download it again from the server. It can make use of the same package which it has copied before, or like whenever you have installed it before. So yeah, we'll make use of yarn for this. So you can use npm also. Just replace yarn with the npm keyword, and it should start up your project. Till then, we'll go through the project structure, like what all we have available over here. Mm, mm, mm. Yes, so first directory is node modules. So it will have all the packages which create React app as installed on this directory of our project. So it will have all the packages which it has installed by default. You don't need to worry about it. Then we have something called public directory. It has all the files which should be available publicly for the project. So whenever you open index.html, you see a favicon icon in the navbar, right? So these shouldn't be protected. They should be publicly available. So whenever they are loaded on the first run, they should be easily accessible. Then we have something called SRC. It will be containing all the source code of our app. Whatever we create, it should go inside SRC folder. Then we have something called ESLint cache. You can ignore this. This is created by my editor. Then we have git ignore. It is, as you know, like git ignore is for ignoring all the files which you don't want to commit. We can add to this list. So these are some predefined directories added by create react app to git ignore, which we don't need to commit anywhere. Then we have package.json. So this is the main entry point of our app. It defines all the packages which we have installed, some info about our application, like what is the name of application, what is version, what are the dependencies or packages we have installed, scripts to different scripts to run. So we run npm start. What npm start does is it will run this command in your terminal. So these are kind of shorthands you can define for different commands to run, and it contains all other configuration for our app. Whatever you want as a configuration, we can add it to this file. This will be also modified while you will be deploying your project on GitHub. So README is a simple README explaining like what you can have a README writing all the steps to run the app and all those things. And .log file is created whenever you install packages using npm install or yarn install. A log file is created, so it has all the information about which version of which package has been installed. So this also you can ignore as of now. So our app has started. We can see the simple start page for our app. Let's go through package.json once. So we see over here a React package. This is for our React library. Then we have React DOM. So can anyone tell like what React DOM is? Who has worked on React? Like if you tried to Google it before.
So React basically, if you are using JSX, then we need to install React. But if we are
React DOM.
handling events, then we need React DOM.
I didn't got it clearly. If we are handling,
Events, if you are like playing with DOM, then we need to install React DOM.
okay.
And if it's just JSX, then we can only install import React.
Yeah, so React DOM is basically to provide access to some method specific to DOM, which can be used on top level of app. So what it means is, so you might, I'll show you an example. So we see React DOM.render. So render is one of the function provided by React DOM, and it can be render can be used directly to like talk to DOM basically. So what we are telling over here is this is our component, this is our element in the DOM by this ID. Append this, add this component, whatever we are passing to this div or whatever this element is with this ID in our DOM. So we are talking directly to our DOM outside of React. So this is one of the method provided by React DOM. Similarly, it provides other methods also. A recent one was, sorry, someone was saying something.
No, go ahead.
Good. So similarly, we have a new method also added called create portal. So that also provide a way to add any component outside the DOM node. So what it means is, so whenever, so I have this app component, right? In case there's inside this app, I am creating this div. What it will do is whatever we are passing within this, right? It will be added to its nearest parent element. So if I pass this component as app, it will be added to the whatever div or element there is having this root ID. But in case we want to add it to DOM at some other place, suppose we have two divs, and from inside of this root app element, we want this to be added to some other DOM node, then we can make use of create portal thing. So it's a kind of provide a way to attach component to some other DOM node instead of in which it already exists. You can read about it more on the documentation. But yeah, like it might be helpful later on when you create complex applications.
So React DOM actually uh, actually like he manages all the virtual kind like virtual DOM function and all these things. Like whatever we do in virtual DOM, that we like
That will be managed
means,
by that will be managed by React. So React DOM is providing some methods additional to what React does to integrate to directly talk with the DOM instead of like talking via React. You, if you in case want to directly talk via some DOM node, you can make use of method provided by React DOM library. You won't need to use it like within your app much. It's mostly used on the top level within the index.js to render the first element base a component to our HTML page. But you have to prevent like you don't need to use it anywhere else inside the
So, what is the meaning of this strict mode?
strict mode. This is to basically enforce the what you say the rules for the React application. So it while you will be running creating your application, it will be enforcing strict all the rules on the React app, so that in case you make some kind of mistakes or some similar to like what ESLint does, right? And we check like how we can make use of use strict in our JavaScript to prevent like if we make use of variable before defining those all those things. So use strict allows for that thing. So if you have used strict mode and in case you somewhere like use variable without defining it or declaring it, then it will throw out an error while compilation that like you have used something wrongly. And if you remove this, it won't show you those errors. Then your app might crash during the runtime. Cool. Then we have something called React script. So it is basically, it contains all the script and configuration used by create React app. So you can see like in the script we are using a start command. What it does is it make use of this React script package and run start command. So internally it does all the things like compiling your code using Babel, running it, reloading your browser automatically. All those things are managed by React script. You don't need to write all those by yourself. So this package contain all the configuration and the scripts which are used by create React app, which we use to create our project. And Web Vitals, I haven't used it before, but I think Deepak explained this in last classes. And in public directory, we have to like just see index.html. What it does is it has a single div called with ID root, and it doesn't have anything. So in the entry point of our app, which is index.js, we are entering our app component within that div node. So whatever we write within this app component, everything will go inside this div, which is there in index.html with the help of JavaScript. So you don't need to append all element by yourself. This takes care of it. So I think we'll start with it. So index.js is your entry point for your code. What we are doing over here is we have imported React from React. So anybody knows like why we do this? Anyone? Like if you might have tried like searching like why we import this line on top of each file.
So that we can use JSX.
Okay. Yeah, you are a bit right. So it's basically mostly to tell our compiler. So what we are using Babel compiler. Whatever we write code in JSX syntax and all those are compiled by Babel compiler into the language which our browser can understand. So what this line tells is, so if compiler is going through this file, it don't know like what this method means. So what it does is and if you are using somewhere like react.render or react.strict mode, it will give browser React as undefined because it doesn't know like what it means. So that's why we use import React from React to tell our compiler that this is a React JSX file, and we can and we have to make this is the JSX syntax written inside it, and we have to compile it according to that. So that's why we make use of this. I think is the meeting going to end? Somewhere so.
Yes. So you got some notification?
Yes.
Yes, I also got.
Cool. So how many?
I think it was the notification was that the meeting has been upgraded, I think.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Not sure, yeah. Cool, we can proceed. Like if the meeting is ending, then we can join on the same link again.
Yeah, sure.
Cool, okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of an intro about what it does and all those things. So with the new React version, we don't even need to add this line to our file. We can directly run. So React 17.0, the version which we are using in our current package, in this, like it has been added internally, we don't need to import it at the top of each file also. I will just So what we are doing is we are importing React DOM. We are importing a CSS file, which is index.css in the same directory. We are importing our app component, and we are rendering our app component. Over here, we will have to add inside this. We won't. On the top, we need. Okay. Cool. And yeah, so we can go inside the app.js. So this is our main app entry point. Inside this, we can render our top level component and all those things. So I will just delete all of these code. App.css also. So we'll create a new directory over here called components. So we'll write all our reusable components inside this directory. And since we are creating a basic app, let it be like this. So app is our entry point, and all our reusable component will go inside components. So what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a small app in which we'll have some counter button clicks. We'll see how state works, how prop works, and all those things. Let me start. I think we missed this class component thing, right? So I'll just go quickly through class component. Let's create a one component first. So we'll make use of like React Bootstrap. It's a CSS library which we can use to basically use like built-in components provided by Bootstrap. So we don't need to write much of CSS for buttons and Navbar, all those things. We'll just quickly add it to our project. Like whenever you need to use something, you can directly search like this is what I'm looking for. You might easily find a package already built for it. So Bootstrap is a commonly used CSS library by like most of the projects. So we can start with it. We just need to install React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. Yeah, after installing the package, you need to restart your app by yourself. So if you see app.js file, we don't see import React from React over here, and it will still compile properly. So what you are seeing over here is a functional component. Functional component. What we are doing is we are directly returning a div from inside of it. And if I write like hello world, see it over here. You can see like hello world has appeared. It's taking a lot of time. Let's use yarn directly. I have installed it before. It has been installed now. So if I see my package.json, I can see two new packages have been added, Bootstrap, React Bootstrap. What we need to do is we need to add this CSS file on top of our index.js or app.js. We'll just import it over here. We will start our app again. Yeah, and if we go through first, let's add a navbar, small navbar. So we can go to the documentation, how it needs to be used. It's pretty straightforward. So I'll just add a navbar component in our app. So we'll create a navbar within our component. We can name it navbar.js. So make sure to name your components with capital letters so that they are distinguishable from your functions and all those files, other files. You can either name it by JS also, or you can name them as JSX as well. And what I will do is I'll create a component. So we'll make use of our ES6 syntax. I will do import constant app navbar equal to a function. What it function does, it should return my component. This is my navbar. I will import it from React Bootstrap. Import navbar from React Bootstrap / navbar. Yeah. And we need to export this function from our file. So the syntax must be pretty familiar to know by now. So what I did is I created a simple functional component. What it does is it just simply return me a navbar. So in case I have multiple pages and I want to make use of navbar, I can make use of it. Otherwise, like it can be like customized also, like for other multiple pages, I want some customized navbar. So I can reuse the same component by passing in some props or something. Just now I'll use it directly. So we'll go to app.js. We'll import our component /app navbar. Just put your component name, and with inside our app. So yes, I will see one more thing called React fragment. So this is a syntax for React fragment, or you can write react.fragment as well by importing React in your package. Then you can make use of react.fragment. So what it does is it provides adding of unnecessary divs to your code. So in React, like you always, if you have multiple components, so suppose I have two components with navbar, I can't return them directly like this. They need to be scoped within a single div. So either I can add a div, then that div will be available in the DOM also as an additional div, or I can make use of fragment. So it will not like, it depends on if it requires additional div to be added to DOM, it will add it, otherwise it will ignore that. So we can make use of this to send multiple components even without adding a new div. So I've just added a simple navbar for now. We will see in our app. Let's change the background of it. So yes, so see, I can have like a navbar pair. So if we go through doc, we can have a light background navbar or a dark background navbar. So let's see what prop does. So what I want is I want the theme of this navbar to be changed based on some property. So what I can do is over here, I can, as a parameter, I can get some props, or I can directly make use of object destructuring. So I want within my props, I want theme to be taken care, and navbar background should be based on the theme, whatever has been passed. And I want its default value to be light. And over here, I can pass bg as my theme variable. So by default, if I haven't passed anything to this component over here as property, what it will do is it will render the navbar with light theme. But if I want dark nav, what I can simply do is in the navbar, I can do theme equal to, and I can pass it the value of my theme. I can pass it dark. Now it will receive this parameter over here in the function, and it will assign that to this Navbar component. So you can see it has been changed to dark now. So this is how you write your variables within the JSX HTML syntax. If you want to make use of any variable, you have to encapsulate it within these curly braces. So wherever you want to do write some kind of JavaScript within HTML, you can make use of these two open close braces and you can write your JavaScript code over here. Now, what idea?
Yeah,
Yep.
like in this case, means theme is not props, right? Like it's just like
Yeah.
like a passing a variable
Yeah, so
this way.
these are functional components. So whatever you pass to this component from here, these all are props, right? This is a component. Whatever you pass over here as
Yeah,
attribute,
yeah,
they all are called props, right?
yes, yes,
The place where you are receiving it, this is a functional component. Over here, you can either write props also, and over here do props dot theme, similar to do how you used to do in your class components. Otherwise, you can directly destructure over here. You know, there is only one property. You can just directly destructure it, pass it some default value, and use it directly. And if you want to access other props also, you can do comma dot 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 props. So if I suppose passed it something as title equal to uh, notes tab, now it will be available in props, and I can over here do directly props dot title. So all other properties will be available in this props thing. So you can see it has switched to notes app now. Let's switch to light theme so that you can see. Yeah, you can see it has changed to notes app, right? So whatever you pass to a component as an attributes, they all are called as props, and they can be accessed like this within a functional component, and you can make use via curly braces of the values of those variables. Now, let's see like how it should have been if it was a class component. So I'll just comment this out right now. So we'll create a same class component also, class app navbar extends. We used to do react dot component, or we can import component from react at top. Let's do that only import. So now you are accessing some internal function of React. So now you'll have to import it over here, or you can directly import component only. And over here, I'm not sure. I think it was constructor, right? Props, super props. I believe I haven't written class component from a long time. How was it? Uh, it's been a long time.
You have to use render below that.
Yes, that was still there. Within render, I have to return.
Return, yeah.
This is fine. That's what I was worried about.
It's correct.
Yeah, cool. And over here, I can do the same thing. Now I can do like constant theme title equal to props. Not here. I think inside. Yeah, so it still renders the same thing. So this was how it was written before. Now you can just simply have it like this, the one we have written over here. So they are like pretty easy to understand also, and you don't need to write like constructors, renders, and all those additional things. You can just directly make use of JSX syntax. Cool, I think we should move to creating our new. So yeah, we have an app Navbar. We will create a home page in which we'll have everything what we want to display. So for pages, what you can do is what convention. So if you search for React Atomic Design, so this is like the design which like the structure which we should follow for our code. It will tell you like how we should organize our project based on atoms, molecule, organism, and all these things. You can check it out. For now, we will just create a simple directory, another directory, new folder. We'll name it just pages. So we want to create our home page. We'll create a home page home.basics. And over here, we'll create another function component, constant home equal to colon return. We'll return something from here. So this will be our home page. We'll export default. Directory, we can import this component. You can see home page is coming over here. So we'll create this home page for now. So what we are doing to do first is we'll create a simple score counter. Like we click on a button, it increment our score. So I'm creating another reusable component because I'll share my another screen. Can you see my screen? This image which I'm showing.
Yes, yes.
So we are making like we'll be creating something of this sort. So you can see we have something reusable. Like we see we have some title, number, and buttons for first two components, right? They are pretty similar. It's just the behavior is different. So I'm going to create a reusable component for these two, which we can make use of. So we'll just create a card component. Let's name it a card. Instant card. See like how we can reuse it. I will open the image as well so that we can keep on checking. So yeah, it takes something called a title. We have some text display thing. We have a button, and we see like this text display is kind of like optional in both of these first and second card, right? So what we are going to do is we need something called title for our card. We have something called button title for our buttons. We can name is button title. And then we have this field we can name is show score div or something, a boolean flag basically. So scores. we want these three things, and what we are going to do is we are going to render a card component. Let me add some.
Guys, कोई doubt है क्या अभी तक?
Just let me know
Like,
between, like whenever you see face some, it gets out.
yeah, right.
So we will have H2. This will be a score item where we'll be showing our scores. We'll have a button. This will need to import. We'll import it from our React Bootstrap. So like there is so why I'm doing like React Bootstrap / button, it's to like so that I don't import the whole library over here. I can just import a single component from inside of it instead of importing whole library. So what I want is over here, like whatever title I'm passing, I want to show it over here in title. Whatever button title I pass should be the button title, right? And I have something called show scores, and let's have something called a score equal to 0. So this score should be showing up. mm, yeah, let it be score, and it will be showing score over here. And we have to show this div only when we have asked for it. So we'll write some JavaScript if else over here. So I started and closed this open curly braces. Over here we'll write our JavaScript. What we need to do is we will write ternary operator. So if show score is true, then render this component. So over here in JSX we can do it like this also. Yeah, so I have written show score. So if this is true and this thing, so if the variable is true, then it will render this component. Otherwise, it won't do anything. This is similar to writing if show scores render this component. And now we can make use of it directly in our page. So we'll go to home page. Over here, we'll make use of our card component, first card component. So let's
You haven't exported.
yes. I can import it from components. And what all we need to pass to it is our title. We can pass title equal to score counter. I think we had a score counter, right? Score counter. Then we want button title. Let it be click here. Then we want show score. We want to show the score also in our component. So for true value, like you don't even need to pass as like equal to true. You can just pass in the attribute. If you have passed it, it will be by default taken as true. And then you have something called score, like what score you want to show. So score equal to let it be 0 for now. We want to show as or 1. Let it be 1. There's some mic disturbance.
There will be dot flag.
Uh-huh. There's mic disturbance from someone's mic. So you can see it over here. We have something a score counter 1 and click here. Right now it doesn't do anything because we haven't added any click listener, like what should happen on click. We'll create another card as well, the one we need for this thing, event handler. So let's create another card. Name the card. We don't want to show the score field, so we'll pass it as false and score can be removed. We'll see we have another card having title and just the button, right? Now we somehow want to increase this score, right? So we want to manage, this is our homepage, we want to manage this variable, like on click of button, this should be incremented. So in functional component, we make use of hooks. So what hook exactly are? So they are a way to hook something. Just a second here. Yeah. So in class components, we had something called a states, right? We used to create others dot a state equal to, and we used to define a state over here. And we had something called component did update, component did mount, all the life cycle method of a component. So can anyone explain like what all life cycle methods we have? A small intro, like what all we have as life cycle methods.
Component did mount. When the function is rendered, component did update. When the state is changed. Also, there is one component did mount, and there is another one.
A component will unmount. Did mount, should update, will unmount. These are the major which we use mostly, which were there in class component. There are others also like will update, should did update, component will mount, all those things, but they were like deprecated. So if I just go to life cycle component, so this is basically a life cycle of a component. Whenever a component is created, constructor is called, then we call render method. Then it takes care of like if there is any DOM update needs to happen, or if there are some API call needs to happen, we can do all those things. Component did mount is called during mounting. Then we have update state, like in the case some value changes, this again render will happen with the new properties, and component did update will be called. And when we are moving away from the page, so suppose I refresh it, or if I move from one page to another, then if a component needs to be removed from DOM, then component will unmount is called before it is removed from the DOM. Now in functional component, we don't have any way to access these lifecycle using component, those function names, lifecycle function names. So what we have something is called hooks. So hooks are like kind of function which let you hook into React state and lifecycle feature. So the basic hook is like use a state. So we have something called use a state from React. And we have one hook called use effect. So use state is used to create any state object, a state variable or object any within the state of the component. Effect is used to handle all the updation of the component. So whatever we were doing in the lifecycle methods, they all can be handled by use effect now. So we'll start just with the use state thing first. So what we want is on click of button, we want to increase our score, right? So let's create a variable called score and set. So this is the like parameters which are use state hook returns. So always like whenever you're creating a variable, you have to like assign them to two variable. First one will be your variable name, which will have the value, and second will be used to update that value. So in your like class component, you used to use like this dot set a state to update the variable of a state. Over here, you'll use this second variable to update your score value. You can name it anything, but this is the convention like which is followed mostly. We add set like ahead of the variable name to make it easy to understand like this is related to this score variable. So we want it and we will pass default value over here to use state. So it can be number, it can be string, it can be object, it can be array, it can be anything. So I want it to be default as 0. And what I want is whatever score value I have, I want to display it in our component. So if I do, it is showing 0. If I make it 10, you can see it changing to 10 now, right? So whatever value is being changed over here, I'm passing that value to this component, and this component will update it based on the value passed. Now we see like we have buttons. You want to do something on these buttons, click, right? So for the first button, what we'll do is we will try to we'll try to pass in the event handler from here only. So what we want in our component is we want something to handle our click. Like whenever a button is clicked, what should happen? We will pass a function as a proper prop, and that can be used by this button. So now like in your Java basic JavaScript, what you used to do to attach a click listener, how would you do it if you had to do it in vanilla JavaScript or something?
Add event listener.
Yeah. So you have to pass add event listener, then the event name, right? Click, and then a function to handle that event, right? So over here we have something similar. We have something called synthetic events. So they are just like all the mouse event, keyboard events, all the events are named in some convention in React. So if you have to add click handler, you can write on click. If you have to do something on key down press, on key up press, all those can be accessed directly as a property for each of the React component. So if you add on click equal to add a function, it is similar to like add event listener, click, and this function should be called. Now let's see like what we want to do is we are passing a function to our card component, and we want to call it whenever on click is called. I'll just write it like this for now. We'll see like if it works or not. So I'll create a function constant update score. What this function does is it takes a parameter value and it sets the score to that value, whatever we have. What we want is we want to increment our score. We'll just do score +1. So what it will do is it will just increment it by 1 every time. And we want to pass this function as parameter to this. So I've created an arrow function over here. What it does, it calls the set score to update our score variable by one value. Let's see if it works out. Now I click here. It has incremented to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. Now what if, let's keep it easy this time. Next time we'll read about this. Any doubt on like event handler part, how we are doing it?
Acha guys, so how many of you have worked on the class component things and like seeing the first functional components and hooks for the first time? I think class component पे तो सबने काम किया होगा ना in the free code camp वाले में.
Yes,
यार सब
Yes.
म्यूट पे हो. आई थिंक सब सो गए हैं पहले ही. हेलो, कैन एवरीवन
Yes.
अनम्यूट?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
अच्छा, स्टिल 4-5 लोग म्यूट पे हैं, सो गए हैं, ठीक है. सो यस, अगर कंटिन्यू.
Like you can ask something if you have any doubt anywhere. If not, then maybe we'll continue ahead.
यस, अगर क्लास कंपोनेंट में मतलब किया होगा और ये समझ नहीं होगा आ रहा होगा, देन लाइक इट विल टेक सम टाइम बट इजी है. यू जस्ट हैव टू यूज एक्स्ट्रा हुक्स इन दिस. उसमें क्या होता है कि यू जस्ट पास स्टेट दिस डॉट सेट स्टेट होता है एंड इसमें यू हैव टू यूज सेट स्टेट. सो दैट्स द होल डिफरेंस. डी स्ट्रक्चरिंग यहाँ पे हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं थोड़ा सा. सो मे बी थोड़ा सा उसके लिए कॉम्प्लेक्स लग रहा होगा एंड देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ कंपोनेंट्स आगर इज ऑलरेडी मेड. So reusability दिखाने के लिए and how the props and states like how basically props works, क्योंकि React में हम जब काम करते हैं reusable state के साथ तो props हमें सब जगह पे यूज करना पड़ता है, इसलिए ज़्यादा props भी हैं इसमें. So basically this is the standard, like जो standard होना चाहिए वो है. नहीं तो अगर अगर क्लास कंपोनेंट में इसलिए हम लोग यूज़ नहीं कर रहे हैं आजकल क्योंकि companies are not asking for class component and most of these corporates have shifted to functional component thing. So the class component has already been deprecated. So it's better to not use. Even like in my organization, we are still using class component, and I don't have much practical skills on the functional component. But yeah, I'm still learning on the functional component. So you should too, I think.
Yeah,
ठीक
so
है यार, सागर कंटिन्यू. लास्ट में डाउट कर लेंगे थोड़ा सा.
major point of using functional component is like JavaScript is moving toward functional programming paradigm. Right, we talked about it. Like, what is functional programming? So JavaScript is shifting is a functional programming language. It follows that, and React also like started to adopt it. So they thought like how we can move out of classes and convert it to a purely functional component, functional library kind of thing. That's why we focus more on functional components. So for other button, like you can tell like what you want it to do. Maybe we can do that with this thing. Or like what we can do is we won't pass it over here. We can have some default handler also, right?
You can show some example of real-time writing, like whenever you are typing from the input box and the whole thing is rendering on another paragraph or something like that.
Yes. Cool. That I was thinking for the third one, which
Acha, okay.
so for do something on click, like if you want it to do something, it's done. Otherwise, you can remove it as won't be an issue. So I think let's do something with it. So we will add. Let's define a handler, default handler for our button, default button handler. In case you are not asking it to do anything, it will do this. So what it will do is it will just show your, we'll add something over here. So props are like always constant. You should cannot change the values of your props. Now let's click on something over here. Or let's just remove it. We'll just do console.log.
Yeah, just console log that it is clicked.
I don't want anything.
Yeah, you can show some alert. Simple.
Yeah, alert also, alert not doing anything. Okay, I think this is fine. Because it's not doing anything. So it can be on click, handle click, or you can pass it like this. So if this function is available, it will call this, otherwise it will call default button handler. In case you didn't pass handle click over from here, what will happen is it will come as undefined. And if it will be undefined, then it will pick this one as the handler for it.
Default handler.
Yeah. So let's see if it does that also. It's not doing anything. Third one, we'll see like we'll just write it over here instead of creating a component. I'll just copy the outer structure.
Add component.
I think let's do it over here itself. So what we have over here is we want some input field and we want to show what are we are typing inside it. See, I have to copy all these things, right? So we can think of like how we can change it to be more reusable so that we don't have to write all these things. Let's add an input field. Search, type here, and whatever we are typing, we'll show it in a paragraph for now. Or we'll show it in an H3 tag. So let's create something. Search text. Search text. We'll make use of user state again. User state. Search text. Search text. We'll keep it empty by default. We can pass in null also. We don't want it. Let it be empty. And whatever we so search text is something what we want to show over here. Whatever we are typing, we want to show over here. So cooler. And now like what we want is on change. So on change is something like whenever the input value changed, right? So you can capture that using on change thing. So you can write on change equal to what you want on value to be changed. So instead of creating a function and passing it over here, I can directly write arrow function over here only. So what I'm doing is on change. What it should do is set search text to whatever we have, and it should be event, like we pass
Target.
event dot target dot value. So this is similar to how you used to do in your vanilla JavaScript. You add an event listener, or you receive a event thing, and event dot target dot value will have the value, right? And its value should also be the same thing, search text. So if I'm typing something over here, I can see it. Heading tag as well. So you can see like how far you don't even need to refresh your page and all those things. Whatever you are typing, you can directly see what's happening with it. So it's updating itself with every input stroke. Now let's see use effect also, like what use effect does, because it's a replacement for component did mount, component did update, all those methods. Let's import it as well. Any doubt like till here?
No.
Sagar, I think you can we can tell the use effect in the next lecture, because uh, I think that people are already confused.
Cool, cool, cool. I think then we can keep it next one.
So if you, or you guys want to know about the use effect, basically if you have worked on the component did mount thing and how it works, like state component state management things, and for example what happens and how you manage basically the states or update thing, so then you, in that case, you will be able to understand better how use effect works. So use effect component did mount पे किसने काम किया, मतलब किसी ने काम किया है क्या अभी तक? Rutik and anyone else? Yeah, Lakshay. Okay. So let's. They Chris, can you mute? Chris. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think we can do the use effect in the next lecture. Let's give some more assignment on the functional component part, because they have already studied the class component and maybe confused about the functional component. So
Okay.
better to give some assignment and then proceed with the life cycle part.
No issues. So I think you must have learned about like how we have to make use of the reusable component, how state is created, how we can pass in props, how we can pass props from one component to its children, and they can do something with it. They can display the values, all those things, right? And how you can take input values, how you can store them. You can create form also. On submit, you can do something. All those things can be done now. So
And this is the code sandbox link, right? Or it's a local repository?
this is my local repo.
Acha, it's a local. So let's we will push it on GitHub and we will send it to you guys. ठीक है? So that अगर code में कुछ देखना है फिर से, so you can get to know. नहीं तो video तो है ही. It's recorded, so you can go through it. थोड़ा लंबा है video, but still you can go through it if you want.
Code will work better.
क्या?
Like means
repo
will work better.
perfect. हाँ, उसका upload कर देंगे हम, upload कर देंगे उसको. So ठीक है, okay. सागर.
Cool, I think.